Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the 2018 Golden Elephant Award finalist announcement. I'm excited about it. I'm nervous. I always am because let's face it, although we try very, very hard to play every single game that we think could possibly be eligible for the Golden Elephant Award each year, some we just don't get to. It's inevitable. There's just too many games getting published. That said, I do feel like we do a very good job of getting to the overwhelming majority of games that we feel would be eligible or that would be considered for this award. So, before we get started, a couple of things. I figure I give a little bit of context about the Golden Elephant Award, as well as a little bit of a change this year. So, criteria-wise, well, first and foremost, here on the website, it says the Golden Elephant Award is the annual award handed out to the most outstanding board game of the year from the heavy gamer perspective, as voted upon by Heavy Cardboard. Now, the criteria that we use, essentially what it is how much depth of analysis and planning is there? How meaningful are the decisions? Number one, the depth of the gameplay. Number two, and honestly, the fun factor. Is it enjoyable to play? Just because it's heavy and hard doesn't mean it's enjoyable or fun. And the last criteria, honestly, isn't really listed on here, but it does come into play. And what that is longevity. And what we think the longevity of a game will be. Will this game will it stand the test of time? Will it be meaningful 5, 10, 20 years down the road? Now, obviously, that's a very inexact science, and none of what we determine is definitive, but it's in our best judgment. And I say our, because in the past, it's always been the hosts of Heavy Cardboard have been the judges, the sole judges. Now, we've always taken input from essentially our local game group, as well as others around the internet, people whose opinions we respect. And that's no different this year. But it is. There were 7 of us that voted on this. Obviously, ultimately, I had the final decision, but there were 7 of us, all local here, and did take input from other folks from around the world as far as their opinions, the people that we respect. So the other criteria that we use, no reprints. If it's a straight reprint, let me give a couple of examples. So Container, 10th Anniversary Edition. Yes, there were some changes made. It was pretty, but it's a reprint. Brass Lancashire. Yeah, there were a couple minor changes here or there, but it's a reprint. CO2. Same. Some changes, but it was a reprint. So games like that, not eligible. Also, in addition to that, we're going by the official year that the game was published. So, for instance, let's go talking about 2018 games that are not eligible. So, City of the Big Shoulders, it's not published yet. Pipeline, not out yet, technically. Those are 2019 releases. Even though we played them in 2018, they haven't been officially published yet, so those are not eligible. And you notice that I didn't say anything about Thinky Filler or a war game or an 18XX or medium or heavy or anything like that. Anything's eligible. It just comes down to what we feel deserves to be in this list, and something that we think will stand the test of time. And I think we've done a pretty good job I think we've done an outstanding job of that in the past. Last year, you can see the winner behind me, Lisboa. The winner before that, the year before, is over my right shoulder, which is 1822. the Railways of Great Britain. The year before that, 2015, Food Chain Magnate. 2014 was Arkwright. And the inaugural winner was Madeira. Yeah, I feel pretty good about all those. I stand behind all those. I think those were all good decisions. And honestly, I think the finalists for this year are worthy of that and feel pretty good about that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the official announcement. So we are announcing these alphabetically. That's what makes the most sense, or alphanumerically. Don't want to ruin any possible surprises. So first up is Brass Birmingham, designed by Gavin Brown, Matt Tolman, and Martin Wallace, published by Roxley Games. Economic sequel to Brass Lancashire, about competing entrepreneurs in the Black Country in England in the 18th and 19th century. One other thing that I did not mention, and I figured this would come up regarding this game, is people have asked about Aegis theme maps and so on and so forth. The other thing that I wanted to mention regarding that is it has to be a standalone game. And Brass Birmingham very much is kind of like an 18XX in the 18XX family, that it feels like Brass, but it's very much its own game. And everybody unanimously put this on this list and felt that this deserved to be a finalist. So here it is, Brass Birmingham. So congrats to the fellas and over at Roxley Games. So that is our first one. And if you've seen any of our teaser picks, then you know that how many of these there will be. There is no set amount. So yeah, there we go. And I saw that Matt Tolman is in chat. So congratulations, Matt, and thanks for hanging out. All right, second up, we have Cataclysm, A Second World War, designed by Scott Muldoon and William Turtoslavich, published by GMT Games. Grand strategic global view World War II game, played in a giant sandbox that allows for the what if to come into play. We recently streamed this last week, I believe it was, last weekend. And overwhelmingly, this also was a universal pick. In fact, I can honestly say that I think every one of these that is on this list was a universal pick. There may be one or two exceptions here or there by one or two people, but yeah, feel really good about this. So there you go, Cataclysm. Definitely, if you watched our live stream and you listened to our thoughts, everybody that's played this game so far, it seems, has thoroughly enjoyed it. There is a fair bit of randomness in the chip pools, so on and so forth, but thoroughly enjoyed this, and everybody that's played it that I've talked to has enjoyed it. So there's that. So congrats to Scott, William, and the folks over at GMT. Next up, we have Tales of the Northlands, The Sagas of Noggin the Nog, designed by Nick Case, published by Amusement. Noggin, Prince of the Nogs versus Nogbad the Bad, based upon the children's series by Peter Furman and a TV show from way back in the day. So a little bit of history on this, if you guys have not heard. So when I first heard about this game, it was in advance of our traveling to LyriaCon 2 years ago. And I saw Sagas of Noggin the Nog is what it was called at the time. And I completely dismissed it out of hand because it sounded like a kid's game, and that's that. And then one of our patrons and friends of ours, Franny, was like, oh, I can't wait to check that out. That's awesome. And she being British, well, it makes sense because a lot of people grew up on this series. But that was it, dismissed it, and that was that. Ended up going to LyriaCon and saw a game on the table that looked, wow, what is that? And we heard that is Sagas of Noggin the Nog, and wow, that looks like a big game. That looks like a legit game. And Adrian and I sat down. Adrian Richardson from the Mile High Game Guys podcast sat down and played that, and we were blown away by the game and thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, I know that there is some discussion about rulebook and how good that is, et cetera, et cetera. We streamed it when it was the prototype. I have copies of it here at the house. I've loved my plays of it. I think it's really good for what it is. I have enjoyed it. And like I said, I think near unanimous picks for finalists this year. So I'm not alone in that. So congratulations to Nick and everybody associated with the project there. I saw Nick that was in chat as well. So yeah, congrats and well deserved. So there you go. Tales of the Northlands, Sagas of Nog and the Nog. Next up, probably the least surprising out of everything on this list. Y'all knew it was going to be on here, right? Is Root, designed by Cole Worley, published by Leader Games, asymmetric game of adventure and war. Some have called it a deliciously dark game swaddled in the cuteness of woodland creatures. Do I really need to talk more about Root? I mean, it's been one of the smash hits. And it's been divisive in a lot of ways, but I don't necessarily see that as a bad game or as a bad thing. I've loved my plays of Root. It is still to date probably one of the 3 toughest games I've had to teach. It's not hard. I understand to play, but to teach it well is tough. I've struggled with it, but it's, I feel, an amazing game, and a lot of other folks do too. And this was also unanimous on the list. Like I said, I guess I don't have to mention that since that pretty much goes across the board, right? All right, so moving on there. This one may come as a surprise to some because Edward didn't love the game, but it's not just me, y'all. Space Corp, designed by John Butterfield, published by GMT Games. So GMT, 2 so far on this list. Well done. A 2X space exploration game, easy to learn, thematic, relatively quick to play. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I just wasn't the most gung-ho. And that said, I think it absolutely deserves to be on this list. Everybody, most everybody has enjoyed their plays of this. And yeah, I think the game deserves to be on here. So here we go. So Space Corp, congrats to, again, Mr. Butterfield, as well as everybody over at GMT for landing 2 games on the list. I don't know that that's happened before. Y'all can go back and see, but I'm not sure if that's the case. All right. And like I said, if you've seen us tease out pictures this week regarding the Golden Elephant Award, you can tell that there are 6 finalists. So that leaves 1 more. And probably the last one probably isn't a big surprise to a whole lot of folks. And that is Teotihuacan, City of the Gods, designed by Daniele Tassini, published by Board and Dice, spiritual successor to Tzolk'in, the Mayan calendar. Yeah. Yeah. I don't, yeah. Another universal pick for everybody that was, that chose or that helped out with this list. So here we go. Now, there are, like I said, there are a couple games that we did not get to that potentially could have made this list. And there are a whole lot of others that we did play that we enjoyed, but that aren't included in this list. And I feel happy and I feel proud of the list that the 7 of us have put together. And the Golden Elephant Award is actually sitting in my P.O. box right now. It's been delivered. It gets presented on Friday, so a week from today at the at HeavyCon, at the dinner at HeavyCon. And from there, the designer and or designers are not in attendance this year, so we will have to give that out at a later convention, possibly at Essen, and we'll go from there at the meetup at Essen is what we have done in years past. So that said, thanks everybody for joining. I'm sure there's going to be some chatter about games that we left off or games that we included. Hey, I'd love to hear what you guys would have picked and how wrong we are. Or if you agree with us, let us know that as well in the comments down below. If you guys liked it, like and subscribe. Support the show over on pledgehc.com. And with that, it'll be announced on Friday in real time when we when we announce the winner. So congrats to all the finalists. Congrats to all the designers and publishers. And I'll see you guys in about 7 hours for Clinic Deluxe live stream. Take care, everybody.